Hi, my name is Yulia Linnick, and today I'll be talking about objectification of women in advertising. I'd like to start off this presentation with some statistics. According to Kilbourn's 1999, 3,000 ads flash before our eyes, from billboards to magazines to bus and internet ads every single day. More than 50% of those portray women as sex objects. The fact that objectification of women occurs on such a rampant and consistent basis is no laughing matter and requires serious attention. Objectification of women in media is extremely common and leads to some serious issues as dehumanization, low self-esteem, and even violence. Advertising industry is continuously turning women into objects, creating toxic cultural environment that constantly sacrifices our health and our sense of well-being for the sake of profit, according to Kilbourn's from documentary Killing Us Softly 2010. In this video, I will provide you with general background information on the issue of objectification of women. I will show a few examples to prove that such issue is prevalent, and I'll suggest a possible solution to this problem. According to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, sexual objectification can be roughly defined as the seeing and/or treating a person, usually women and girls, as objects. As I mentioned earlier, people are exposed to more than 3,000 ads daily. Most of them are processed in our brains on subconscious levels. As Gene Kimball stated in Killing Us Softly documentary, those ads create an environment. And if that environment is not healthy, us being surrounded by these unhealthy, unethical images, it negatively affects us as human beings and consequently creates problems. Women are no longer portrayed as emotional and thoughtful beings. Nowadays, advertising their objects. Some of the problems include dehumanization, violence, low self-esteem, negative psychological consequences, and more. According to the article titled "The Media's Sexual Objectification of Women, Rape, Myth Acceptance, and Interpersonal Violence," women have been used to sell products by being sexy for a very long time now. However, recently, sexual objectification got even worse than women's bodies become morphed literally into objects. As you can see on the first ad, women's head was transformed into a flower. On the second ad, women are part of a beer bottle, and on the third ad, women's bodies are taken apart into parts, which is really dehumanizing. I must also add that turning someone into an object is the first step in justifying violence towards that person, which is one of the problems women objectification causes. The quote was obtained from the media's Sexual Objectification, Women, Rape, Myth Acceptance, and Interpersonal Violence by Guthrie, 2007. According to Institute for Advertising Ethics, principle number 5 states that advertisers should treat consumers fairly based on the nature of the audience to whom the ads are directed and the nature of product or service advertised. There is a clear drawback with this principle because nature of the audience is not taken into consideration as it should be. A lot of times audience are both men and women. Majority of today's advertising does not treat women as fairly as men when advertising a product or service. Objectifying women leads to negative consequences in women's well-being, hence women are not treated fairly. Another existing guideline is from Federal Trade Commission Advertising and Marketing Basics, states that under the law, claims in advertisement must be truthful, cannot be deceptive or unfair, and must be evidence-based. Again, currently this rule is not followed. The way women are shown in the ads is not fair. It's one-sided and not truthful at all. This means that existing guidelines are not enforced and have multiple limitations. Some of the solutions to resolve this issue would be to update, reinforce, and promote existing guidelines. Another way is to sign and enforce the petition against women objectification. Advertising should accurately portray people and not reinforce negative stereotypes. General public and especially youth has to be educated on the issues and consequences of women objectification. Another way is to create new ways to advertise without hurting or discriminating against anyone. Also, support various organizations that are fighting for women's rights and gender equality, such as Spark, the Women's Foundation, and others. Also, existing initiatives against women objectification have to be supported and promoted. As Michelle Obama stated, as women we must stand up for ourselves. As women we must stand up for each other. As women we must stand up for justice for all. This quote applies to this case as well. An illustrative example of how to support, promote, and raise awareness about women objectification can be work of Madonna's Badgers. Her campaign, Women Not Objects. She's the head of Badger and Winters advertising firm, and in January 2016, she anonymously released a video on YouTube showcasing the issue of women objectification. That video quickly resonated with thousands of people, creating a very important social movement. Such campaigns like that have to be created in order to educate people on this important matter and to stop this cultural degradation. Badger herself made a commitment to never objectify women in her work. This is a good example for other agencies to follow in the future. On the right bottom, you can see some of the examples of how she differentiates if the ad objectifies women or not. In conclusion, I'd like to say that the effect objectification on women has in our society is very upsetting. Millions of women suffer each year because of this common practice, and it has to be eliminated now or it will be too late. Objectification leads to negative consequences, starting with low self-esteem, the way women are seen by men, their psychological state, and ending with violence. As prep professionals, we have to adhere to high standards of truth and ethics and try to convey our messages to consumers without hurting or discriminating anyone. The problem of women objectification has to be discussed and fixed through various social practices, PR campaigns like Women Not Objects, rules and regulations that have to be rewritten and updated. Today, you can go to womennotobjects.com/home section and sign the petition to refuse ads that portray women and sex objects. Take action. Thank you for your attention.